And this site now is part of the South Carolina State Park System, which was known as Hampton Plantation. At one time, there was a house that surrounded this chimney. Small wooden house. A lady by the name of Sue Austin. She was the daughter of freed slaves. Her son Will stayed here, and he grew rice to feed his family. After the cabin was removed, Will worked the South Carolina State Parks Service, and here is a picture of Will. And this is what the cabin looked like before they removed it in 1979. It was built around 1937, and it served as their home for more than 40 years. Hampton Plantation grew something that was known as Carolina Gold rice. Rice and indigo. Harriet Pickney Ory managed this plantation for more than 45 years. In 1790, she oversaw the constructions of the portico and then the covered porch with the columns. Most likely was the last addition to the plantation. And I'm sure at one time this was the road that led up to the plantation. And here it is in all its majesty, one huge house. I don't know if it will show up on the camera, but look at this glass. It's hand-blown glass. That is cool. This was known as a jostling board. As you can see on each end, there are rockers and a board in the middle, most of the time made of poplar. And couples would sit on it and bounce, and the bouncing would bring them closer together. That's how they courted. Kind of like this. This was 18th and 19th century entertainment. This was the Hampton's kitchen house. It's now empty, but once it was full of implements to make bread and cook food. There's a sign right outside that says Daphine's Lot and Life. Daphne works and makes a loaf of bread, and I intend that she shall take her turn sometime to cook, so that she may not forget what she learned at Santee. Thus wrote Elias Lucas Pickney, of an 18th century slave who once toiled in the kitchen. This building is the last visible reminder of the enslaved African Americans who lived and worked at Hampton Plantation. Each day, Daphne helped prepare and deliver 3 meals to the big house. Like other family slaves, Mary Ann, old Ebba, young Ebba, and Peg, Daphne had no choice in her forced occupation here in the Ory's home in Charleston. One of the reasons they don't let people go inside anymore is because this is in the attic of this house. It houses one of the largest maternity colonies of the Raphinique long-eared bats. And they said that the bats go through those openings under the house and then up through the walls and they nest in the attic. Hampton Plantation is the oldest unrestored plantation in South Carolina. It's had a few repairs made over the years, but basically, as you see it now, it's just as it was in the 1700s. Here is a picture of Archibald Rutledge. He was Hampton's last private owner, South Carolina's first poet. Many of his writings were about his home, state, and growing up at Hampton Plantation. And this memorial stone is in the memory of John Henry Rutledge, son of Frederick and Harriet Ory Rutledge, who departed this life on the 5th of March in 1830. You see from this drawing that it's pretty much well surrounded by water, where Wamball Creek and the former rice fields were back further. And this memorial stone is in the memory of John Henry Rutledge, son of Frederick and Harriet Ory Rutledge, who departed this life on the 5th of March in 1830. You can see a marsh on that side and on this side, and it looks like a dam, but this is actually what was called a rice trunk. And it took a highly skilled person, often a enslaved servant, known as a trunk minder. And what his job was to open and close a series of gates that would allow the tides to push fresh water in to irrigate the rice fields. And these trunks here have been restored so we get an idea of what they look like. So it's basically a gate. The tide would push the fresh water from the creek up to here. The trunk minder would remove pegs and lift the gate to allow the fresh water to be pushed over into the rice fields. And then this side will be put down to capture that fresh water. The results of their labor were vital to the operation of the Hampton Plantation. Though they were masters of their craft, they rarely benefited from their own skills. Plantations throughout the America South relied on enslaved people to provide everything from cloth, barrels, and farming equipment to construction of new buildings. St. James Santee Parish Church was erected in 1768. This was known as the Wamball Church, and it was situated on the King's Highway. This is the fourth church to serve St. James Santee Parish. This parish was founded in 1706 at the request of the French Huguenot settlers and was the second oldest in the colony. This is the church that the plantation owners would actually attend in the 17 and 1800s. For hundreds of years, people have stepped up on these steps, and from what I understand, they still have church service here a few times a year. Let's see if we can get in. And it looks like we can. Pretty cool. And this church looks probably exactly like it would have looked 200 years ago. There's no electricity in here, no heating. Hold on. Cat, you gotta get out. That cat tried to slip in behind me. I'm afraid he'd get shut up in here. This cat is following me around. Now, as I read just a few minutes ago that this was located on Kings Highway, as some people in South Carolina know that Kings Highway is Highway 17 that runs from Myrtle Beach to Charleston. And this is indeed Kings Highway, but also is known as the Old Georgetown Road. And as far as you can see, it is dirt, and there's nothing else on this road where I turn off the pay road about 3 miles in that direction. Well, this wasn't even on my radar. I just was riding down Highway 17 and saw a sign and thought I'd take a little side trip and think it was worth it. I hope you did too. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give me a thumbs up. Be sure to share this video with your family and friends so they can enjoy it too. And until next time, y'all have a good day.